The stars above Earth burned cold and indifferent as Commander Eric Voss watched the last shuttle from the ground colony ignite its thrusters and vanish into the night sky. Smoke curled from the broken spires of New Geneva, the final resistance bastion. Once a cradle of hope, it was now a smoking tomb. He stood alone at the edge of the ruined tarmac, the wind curling ash through the empty air like whispers of the dead. His visor displayed the countdown. Project Starborne initiation. T-minus 11 minutes and 42 seconds. Commander Voss. A voice crackled through his comms. It was Lieutenant Zara Miles, ever precise, never rattled. The Indomitus is primed for orbital ascent. Last pod en route. You're the final asset. I'm aware, Voss muttered, his voice gravel over steel. He turned his back on Earth's funeral pyre and strode toward the armored transport now emerging from the smoke. The driver, a gaunt-eyed recruit with scorched armor, didn't speak. He didn't have to. No one questioned orders anymore, not with extinction pressing down from orbit. As the vehicle rolled toward the vertical launch shaft hidden beneath Mount Selim, Voss allowed himself a single breath of silence. It wasn't peace. Peace was for the dead. But it was something like clarity. 3 weeks ago, the High Sovereignty had turned on its own cities, vaporizing dissident zones from space. Civilian, soldiers, medics. It didn't matter. Loyalty had become a coin toss in vacuum. And Voss, he had flipped. The Indomitus, the largest vessel in the rogue Exodus fleet, was more than just a warship. It was sanctuary and spearhead, carrying 5,000 souls in Earth's last untainted AI seed. Getting it off planet was more than a mission. It was a final defiance. Inside the launch shaft, steel scaffolding rose like ribs of a slumbering god. As the transport halted, Voss stepped out and ascended the maglev platform to the ship's bridge. Miles met him halfway, her expression sharp, her short-cropped hair singed from earlier combat. She handed him a data slate without ceremony. We've lost contact with the Olympus and the Traverser. All signs point to orbital scramblers, likely sovereign interceptors. They know we're moving. Voss scanned the data, then tossed aside. Then we don't wait. Initiate pre-burn sequence. Miles hesitated, the smallest flicker of doubt behind her eyes. The fleet scattered. If we launch now. We launch now. Voss cut in. Every second we delay, we die. On the bridge, the crew was a tapestry of desperation and grit. Ex-naval officers, rebel engineers, even a few civilian navigators from the colony resistance. At the helm, Darnell, a cybernetics expert turned pilot, flicked switches with practiced speed. All engines green. Grav core stable. If you're feeling sentimental about gravity, Commander, now's the time. Get us airborne, Voss ordered. The ship trembled as its vertical launch cores roared to life, the bay lighting up in hues of orange and plasma blue. Underground clamps disengaged with violent hiss, and the Indomitus surged upward, ripping to the launch silo and bursting into Earth's upper atmosphere like a phoenix shedding flame. Almost immediately, the sky turned hostile. 3 sovereign battlecruisers descended from low orbit, weapons primed. Miles barked orders as the Indomitus twisted to evade a volley of plasma torpedoes. One blast clipped the aft stabilizers, and warning sirens howled. Evasive pattern Delta 9. Voss shouted, gripping the command rail. Shields at 60%, Darnell grunted, his hands flying across the controls. They're not letting us go quietly. The Indomitus spun to the upper stratosphere, releasing countermeasures and bursts of magnetic chaff. Below them, streaks of light marked the doomed flight paths of smaller vessels failing to escape. Voss didn't look back. Then came a voice, unfiltered and raw. This is Sovereign Command. Stand down. You are in violation of Unified Exodus Protocol. Your vessel will be neutralized. Voss leaned into the comm. This is Commander Eric Voss. Go to hell. With a nod to Miles, he authorized the release of the ion lances. Twin beams of blistering energy tore into the nearest battlecruiser, rupturing its core in a bloom of fire. The shockwave jolted the Indomitus off course, sending it spiraling toward the debris fields that circled Earth like a graveyard belt. They broke free of orbit minutes later, battered but intact. The planet receded behind them, veiled in smoke, its oceans bruised with oil slicks, its skies still bleeding flame. Silence fell over the bridge. No one cheered. No one smiled. The escape was not victory. It was survival, and survival was temporary. Miles spoke first. "We've got contact from the Exodus fleet. Signals are patchy. Some ships made it out to the Arctic ascent corridors. Others didn't." Voss turned toward the observation glass. Earth now a blue-gray marble behind them. "Survival isn't enough," he said quietly. "We need a future." "And Eos 9?" she asked. "We make it there," he said, "or we die trying." A distant explosion shimmered against the curve of the planet. Likely another rebel cruiser failing to break orbit. Miles looked away. "Commander!" Darnell called out, pointing to a blinking console. "Picking up an anomaly in the next sector. Looks like a repeating signal. Not ours. Not sovereign either." Voss's jaw tightened. "Mark the coordinates. But we stick to protocol. We rendezvous with the fleet first." He turned from the bridge, the weight of thousands pressing invisibly on his shoulders. Behind him, the stars awaited, vast and cold. Ahead of him, Eos 9, their final hope. The Exodus had begun, but the war was far from over. The void stretched endlessly around the Indomitus, a black canvas pierced only by the sterile light of distant stars. Commander Eric Voss sat silent in his chair, the hum of the ship's core system steady beneath his boots. Outside, the asteroid field loomed, an ancient wreck of planetary debris circling an extinct moon, jagged and dense. Navigating it was suicide for most ships, but not for a vessel built in defiance. "Engage velocity drift. Keep us low and quiet," Voss said, voice sharp, deliberate. Darnell nodded at the helm. "Aye. Cutting emissions. We'll glide her in like a whisper." Lieutenant Zara Miles stood by the tactical console, her eyes scanning telemetry feeds. She hadn't slept since launch, and the tension in her jaw was starting to show. If Sovereign patrols didn't catch us on exit, they'll be waiting on the other side of this field. We need stealth more than speed. Voss leaned forward, his tone low. "They'll expect us to avoid the asteroid belt, not pass through it. That buys us a chance." It wasn't the asteroid field that worried him. It was a fleet. Only a third of the original Exodus vessels had made it into orbit. The others had been destroyed, captured, or disappeared into silent channels. The scattered remnants now drifted through a hostile system, blind and panicked. Unity was cracking. A flicker on the comms channel confirmed his fears. "This is Captain Reese, Harbinger. We've lost 3 more life support modules. We need to regroup, now. Your silence is costing us lives, Voss." Zara stiffened, eyes flicking to her commander. Voss didn't answer right away. His gaze remained locked on the dark geometry of floating rock outside the viewport. "Tell Reese to hold position and conserve resources. We're not regrouping until we clear this field. Our position's not secure." "She won't like it," Zara warned. "She doesn't have to." The silence between them thickened. It wasn't the first time he'd overridden the fleet council. Technically, there wasn't even a council anymore, just captains too proud or too scared to trust each other. Suddenly, a sharp beat pierced the quiet. Darnell cursed under his breath. "Contact. 3 unknowns. No comm signal, no ID tags, moving fast." Voss straightened. Visual. The screen lit up with the jagged silhouettes of sleek, needle-like drones gliding through the asteroid field. Their movement was too fluid, too precise for human pilots. "Autonomous war forms," Zara said, frowning. "Sovereign models. Sentry class. We got maybe 40 seconds before intercept. Why aren't they jamming us?" "Because they're not here to jam," she replied. "They're here to kill." Voss acted fast. "Deploy countermeasures. Passive systems only. We're not broadcasting. We're bleeding heat. Make us dead to their optics." Lights dimmed. Gravity subtly shifted. The Indomitus slipped into a slow spiral, mimicking the drifting debris. Time slowed as the warforms passed within kilometers. Voss could see their silver hulls gleam against asteroid shadows, sensors sweeping like predatory eyes. They moved past. The bridge remained deathly quiet. No one breathed. Then another alert. A weak signal. Uncoded. Picking up a distress pulse, Darnell muttered. Old encryption. Not sovereign. Not fleet either. Zara narrowed her eyes. Replay it. A garbled voice, filtered through static and distance, broke across the channel. Repeat. Unknown structure ahead, biosignatures. Compromise, do not approach. Voss's hand tightened on the armrest. Origin. Looks like Sector K-12. Edge of the asteroid belt. Zara gave him a sharp glance. That's where the signal from earlier came from. The commander didn't reply. Instead, he stood and crossed the strategic display, bringing up a holographic map. There at the edge of the field, pulsed a faint beacon. I want eyes on it, he said. Send a drone, low profile. I don't like coincidences. Minutes passed. The drone footage revealed a massive object buried within a crater. Metallic, circular, ancient. It wasn't human, nor was it sovereign. Whatever it was, it had been dormant a very long time. Zara leaned closer. That structure is emitting low-frequency pulses. Organic interference. And, Eric, there are movement signatures inside. Dozens. Voss studied the feed. Wraith. The name landed like a curse. He'd only heard rumors. Artificial organisms. Remnants of an ancient species that had fused machine with flesh. They didn't communicate. They consumed. They adapted. Pull the drone back. I want a full quarantine around this zone, he ordered. No one engages. No one investigates. Darnell turned. Commander! If we're right and that structure's active, it's already engaged us. That distress signal wasn't just a warning. It was a trigger. The ship jolted suddenly, lights flickering. A screech of magnetic interference surged through the systems. They're inside the network. Zara shouted. Our firewalls are collapsing. Cut external relays. Shut down all non-vital AI systems. Voss barked. Emergency crew scrambled. Sparks flew from overloaded panels. Below deck, bulkhead doors slammed shut as containment protocols activated. Then silence. Zara turned slowly. It stopped, like it tested us, measured us. Voss's voice was low, unreadable, and found us wanting. A long pause followed, broken only by the steady beep of systems returning online. I want the science division isolated. Any talk of salvaging alien tech ends now, Voss said coldly. I won't let curiosity kill what's left of us. But that technology, Darnell began, could end us faster than the Sovereign ever could. Voss snapped. We don't touch it. Zara nodded slowly. You're thinking it's not a coincidence, that they left the relic where we find it. I'm thinking, Voss said, staring out at the cold dark, that someone or something is tracking our every move. And if we're not careful, Eos, 9 won't be a sanctuary. It'll be a tomb. No one spoke after that. The Indomitus continued through the asteroid belt. Quieter than before, shadows trailing behind. In the black silence of space, something old had awoken, and it was watching. The medical bay was quiet, but not with peace, more the tense, suffocating quiet that follows a battle narrowly avoided. Commander Eric Voss stood beside a sealed containment unit, where the drone's recovered data core now pulsed dimly under a sheath of lead and quantum mesh. On the screen beside it, a looped image played over and over, twisted spires of alien metal, slick with something wet, and moving shadows that defied biological norms. You should be resting, Zara said as she stepped in, voice low. Her arm was in a sling, bruises across her cheekbone from the overload blast during the firewall collapse. So should you, Voss answered without looking. But here we are. She moved the display, arms crossed. The crew scared. Rumors are spreading faster than containment orders. Some think the Sovereign planted the relic. Others believe it's a remnant of the first Exodus. That was a myth even when I was a cadet, Voss said, but there was no humor in his tone. Doesn't mean it's not true. He looked at her then, eyes heavy. We didn't escape Earth just to walk into something worse. We need to keep moving. We're 42 hours from Eos 9. No more distractions. She hesitated. You saw it too, didn't you? That moment when the relic connected, like it knew us. Like it knew you. Voss didn't reply. He remembered the flicker that flashed across his neural HUD, a symbol like a spiral sun, and the sudden surge of memory that wasn't his own, a battlefield of stars, silent, empty armor drifting like husks in the dark. Get me a full report on crew stability, he said, brushing past her. If anyone starts showing signs of contamination, psychological or neural, I want them locked down. No chances. Zara caught his arm gently. You're isolating us. The crew's loyalty is strong, but they're not machines, Eric. They need more than orders. They need truth. He pulled away. Truth is dangerous, just like hope. She watched him go, her jaw tight with frustration, and something else. Fear, not what waited out there, but of what was unraveling inside their leader. Elsewhere, deep in the engineering bay, Darnell and Chief Technician Issa Juno were locked in a heated argument. Sparks flew overhead as repair drones patched hull damage from the asteroid field. You're telling me this isn't human, but it responds to human code? Juno slammed her hand on the console. That data fragment we pulled, something inside it translated. Darnell looked pale under the cold blue lighting. It didn't just translate. It rewrote. Half our systems try to follow its logic before we shut them down. I've been coding since I was 12, and I've never seen a language build itself backward into the system. Juno's voice dropped, like it was waiting for us, like it was made by us, or something that once was us. They both fell silent. The console flickered. Then a small line of code scrolled across it unaided. Welcome, Starborne. Juno stepped back. You didn't type that. Darnell didn't answer. The words vanished just as suddenly. In the command chamber, Voss stared at the holographic star map. Eos 9 pulse in the distance, a small moon orbiting a gas giant, once a deep space refueling hub, now an uninhabited terraforming project abandoned before it was completed. The fleet's rendezvous point, their sanctuary. Maybe. Zara entered quietly behind him. Preliminary scans from scout probes came in. Let me guess, Voss said dryly. It's not empty. Worse, there's power signatures inside the colony domes. Faint, but unmistakable. Someone or something is already there. His fists clenched. It's a trap. Or a chance. We don't know what's waiting. Could be a sovereign ambush. Could be survivors from the last wave. The last wave never made it. That's what Command said. Command lied, Eric. That's why we're here. He turned to her then, weary but fierce. I need you with me on this. No divisions, not now. She met his gaze. Always. The comms pinged. Commander, Darnell's voice buzzed through. You want to see this? The relic. It just sent out a signal. Voss froze. To where? To Eos 9. Exact coordinates. The air thickened. Zara stepped closer to the console. If it's guiding us, that means it knew where we were going before we did. Or, Voss said grimly, it's been there all along. Outside the Indomitus, the stars wheeled slowly. And at the edge of known space, on a lonely moon once abandoned by its makers, something ancient stirred, watching, waiting, ready. The race for Eos 9 had begun. The approach to Eos 9 was deceptively serene. From orbit, the moon appeared dormant, its gray surface mottled with crater shadows, colony domes lying quiet beneath layers of frost and dust. Yet as the Indomitus entered synchronous orbit, the silence gave way to unease. Power signatures pulsed faintly from beneath the largest dome, and no automated defense systems responded to their presence. That, more than anything, troubled Commander Voss. Status of the fleet? He asked without turning from the viewport. Darnell responded from the comm station. Harbinger and Vigilant are 3 hours behind, running silent. The rest haven't checked in since we cleared the asteroid field. Zara stood beside him, arms folded. Either they're scattered or gone. No trace signals. Just void. Voss nodded. Prepare landing team. I want eyes inside that main habitat dome. 10-minute window. We touch down, recon, extract. No exploration, no deviations. Zara hesitated. You want me on the ground? I need your instincts down there. Darnell stays aboard. Issa too. I want containment protocols hot and ready the moment we return. Zara narrowed her eyes. You're planning for failure. I'm planning for survival. The dropship broke atmosphere, its thrusters flaring as it descended into Eos 9's thin atmosphere. The dome loomed ahead, a once gleaming shell of reinforced alloy now dulled and weathered by time. The landing pad, partially caved in, forced them to reroute and breach a secondary access hatch. The team disembarked quickly, weapons ready, scanners active. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. Emergency lighting flickered down long, curved corridors. Voss led the way with Zara at his flank. The rest of the unit fanned out in disciplined formation. This place shouldn't have power, Zara said, eyes darting between overhead conduits. Solar arrays were never activated on the surface. Where's it getting juice? Voss ran his glove across a nearby panel. Something woke it up, and I don't think it was us. They moved deeper into the facility. Signs of hurried evacuation were everywhere. Strewn datapads, overturned chairs, clothing left in corners as if people had vanished mid-motion. Yet no bodies, no blood, just absence. Zara paused at a sealed chamber door. I'm reading biosigns. Weak but present. Open it, Voss ordered. The door groaned as it slid open. Inside, a cryostasis room hummed softly. Rows of pods lined the walls, each containing a slumbering form. But not all the figures were human. One pod was shattered. Zara stepped forward, staring into the empty chamber. Pod integrity broken from the inside. Whatever was in here, it got out. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The hum changed pitch. Darnell's voice crackled through comms, distorted. Commander, you're not alone. Something's interfering. Then silence. The cryo chamber door slammed shut behind them. Voss spun, raising his rifle. Fallback positions. A low resonance began to echo through the walls, like distant chanting made of metal and memory. Then the message returned, not from Darnell, but from a relic's fractured signal. Welcome, Starborne. Zara's face drained of color. It's using the same frequency as the drone. It's here. The air turned cold. The shadows lengthened unnaturally, pooling along the seams of the chamber. From the broken pod, a figure emerged, humanoid in shape, but wrong in every dimension. Its skin was plated with bone metal alloy, eyes glowing with fragmented light. It didn't move with threat. It moved with purpose. Voss held his fire. Identify yourself. The being tilted its head. Its voice was layered, both alien and oddly familiar. I am the architect. I remember your kind. You left. Now you return, shaped by fire and exile. But you bring chaos still. Zara stepped forward slowly. You're part of the relic, part of the signal. I am its echo, its guardian. Eos, 9 is not yours to reclaim. It is ours to judge. The team raised weapons, but Voss held up a hand. We're not here to claim anything. We're refugees. Survivors. Our people are dying. Your suffering is a consequence of arrogance, the architect said. You reach for stars as children reach for flame. You fled not from defeat, but from accountability. What do you want? Voss demanded. The being blinked slowly. To know if you can evolve. If your species can learn to build without destroying. A panel lit up behind it. Star maps, data streams, signals far older than humanity's reach. Stored in crystalline structures embedded into the wall. One caught Voss's eye, the same spiral sun symbol that had flashed in his mind aboard the Indomitus. Why me, he asked. Because you carry it. The mark. The memory. You are not the first. But you may be the last. Before he could reply, a tremor shook the ground. Alarms flared. Darnell's voice returned, frantic and raw. Sovereign ships inbound. 6. No. 7 destroyers. They're powering weapons. Zara stared at the architect. You lured us here to die? No, it said, fading into holographic static. I lured them, to see how far you would go to say what you love. The cryo chamber door opened again, and Voss didn't wait. Back to the shuttle. Move! They ran through dark halls, now pulsing with unnatural light. Outside, the sky shimmered as sovereign cruisers broke through orbit, their massive frames silhouetted against the weak sun. As the drop ship roared back toward the Indomitus, Zara turned to Voss. "Did we pass the test?" He watched the skies burn above the moon. "We're still breathing. That's a start." But deep in the chamber, behind walls that had seen too many stars die, the architect watched and waited